Mavs Pulse family, we are back. Yes, Blake Elliott, Grant Afseth here on the Mavs Pulse podcast. I know it's been way too long. We just wanted to wait and see, is AD going to play more than 5 games? And if he plays a 6th game, we'll hop on. And as you guys know, watching this video, that did not happen. Torn ligaments in the hand for Anthony Davis. What does it mean for the Dallas Mavericks? What does it mean for his trade value? Well, we will discuss all of that and much more when it comes to the Dallas Mavericks here on the Mavs Pulse podcast. Boom. And this is where that sponsor, we know you're listening right now, your product, and it is phenomenal. Grant, it's been a good little minute since we talked. The Mavs have, I think it's been less about them winning games and not winning games. Cooper Flagg kind of hit the little rookie wall. That was the latest thing to happen. Anthony Davis then gets hurt, torn ligaments in the hand. It looks like he's going to need surgery. I'll let you speak on that more if that's a likely outcome and kind of what his timetable is looking like, G.
Yeah, I think for the most part, we're still all waiting to hear more about a decision. But just typically, with Anthony Davis's track record for injuries, he's had multiple left hand injuries that did not end up resulting in surgery. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. He was at shootaround today with the team at United Center because we're recording this on Saturday, January 10th, before the Mavs are facing the Chicago Bulls to end their 3-game road trip. And he had a sling. It was heavily wrapped as well, like his left hand. So I think typically if I had to guess, just after asking around, just some third-party medical people, that's probably something that you just do while you're waiting to make a decision. Just kind of keep it from moving around and, try to evaluate your options. So we pretty much still need to hear if he's going to have surgery or not. And if that's the case, then, obviously he would miss multiple months, and we're already, January 10th, that would be pretty much the majority of the rest of the season. If not, typical timetables for a ligament damage, for a hand injury can be around a 6-week timetable. I know ESPN had mentioned that, but just looking at other timetables for players that had similar issues, it was around that time period. So that would take us through that February 5th trade deadline, but it also wouldn't significantly remove the rest of the season from 6 weeks from today, if that was the case.
Do you think there's a likelihood that NBA teams can convince themselves, hey, at the trade deadline, he will be in 2 weeks' time back on our team, and we can get him for super low value? If the Hawks go, we'll send you literally Porzingis and Kennard, no picks, no resachet. We'll send you those 2 players to swap contract. Maybe have to throw in another contract money-wise. But we're to give you a bunch of expirings, no real good value. Could you see teams talking themselves into that in the regular season, or are the Mavs going to be having AD by the time training camp starts?
I think depending on the surgery outcome, if there is no surgery, I think definitely the trade packages would get less valuable. As you mentioned, expiring salary is what the Mavericks ideally seek to take back for the players that aren't a young player that they really are excited about. In Atlanta, they're a team that's kind of been drawn in this situation with expiring contracts. The 2 you had mentioned, Kristaps Porzingis, Luke Kennard, that makes up about $40+ million, if I'm not mistaken, in expiring money. But I think beyond that, they're probably going to be very reluctant to put draft picks on the table. They've never really made that Pelicans pick, to my understanding, available in trade talks. And then
shout out
also
to the Pelicans. What a dumb trade. I mean,
well,
I like their point, what a dumb trade.
Yeah, during the finals, they also traded the Pacers their pick back as well, too. Obviously, you can't tell the future and know that.
But think about that. Think about that.
Yeah,
you would have had the top 2 picks.
Yeah, it's very, very crazy how much your franchise can swing, positively and negatively off stuff like that.
And side note on the Pelicans, for a little Pelicans talk, didn't they? I think I just saw a report the other day that they're keeping all their players too. Zion, Herb, Trey, they're keeping everybody.
Yeah, everyone. For the main names for trade rumors, I think Chris Haynes reported it was Zion, Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, guys like that. He didn't mention like a Sadiq Bey, who's having a really good season coming off like
that's my parlay one.
Yeah,
so.
an ACL tear. Yeah, that's someone that I thought was a great story. I talked to him earlier this season, and I think he could help a contender.
Najee Marshall, like their version of Najee. I think a little bit more of an aggressive scorer, but in the same realm.
Yeah, like they both do a lot of the little things. They can guard multiple positions, make plays off the bounce, all that good stuff. I think Sadiq's a better shooter as well. So and he's bigger as well. Like he's a taller player too. So that also gives you different options for the front court.
Do we think Najee? Do we think the other guys are going to be? We can almost guarantee they're going to be traded. The Najees, the Gaffers, the Caleb Martins, the Clays. Like now that AD's practically all intents and purposes out for the season, barring obviously some miracle of him recovering quickly.
Well, I think in general, they've always kind of been in this tentative state of like a lot of these guys are potential trade candidates for the right price. Like the main trade candidates just over the last, relative period has been obviously Anthony Davis, along with like Klay Thompson. Daniel Gafford is probably the one with the most feasible trade market in terms of interest from other teams, like the amount of teams and his contract being something that can return value. And then also, of course, D'Angelo Russell, who's fallen out of the rotation. And he's in a position where, like signing on that MLE contract, or tax MLE, I should say, you're betting on yourself. And if you're sitting, pretty frequently, that's not obviously, common sense. That's a position you don't want to be in to position yourself. He has a player option, of course, but you in this stage of your career, you want to be able to secure that multi-year deal that has good value for yourself. So I think he naturally has been a trade candidate for, a while overall. So just those are kind of the main names. But to your point, if you are put in a position where you're not going to be able to contend at all whatsoever, you naturally, I would think, listen to potential offers of value for some of your role players. Like PJ Washington's off the table because he's ineligible to be traded due to the contract extension that he signed this summer.
How long does that go for?
He's eligible to be traded this summer again.
Okay.
It's just basically like the time frame is just it takes it through the trade deadline.
And man, that extension isn't looking great. I love PJ, like I do, and I love him as a basketball player, human, great guy in the locker room. But just unfortunate, he's been injured a lot this season, like kind of under the radar. Like AD's been the big topic of being hurt. PJ's has missed a good amount of games this year as well.
Yeah, he kind of had a similar freak accident like whenever Kyrie Irving was in Portland and Dwight Powell fell on him. Like that, not really his fault for that injury for when Kyrie missed like a large chunk of a whole month of December. Like PJ into a dome, warming up, goes for a layup and just steps on a basketball and sprains his ankle. That's like really, really unfortunate outcome for him. That very bad luck. So he's had a tough go of it with injuries. Daniel Gafford has as well. He's even to this day, like the last couple shoot-arounds I've been to, they're putting heavy ice on his right ankle that he's dealt with since like training camp, like off and on. So it's definitely been a very challenging season for injuries.
I'm trying to look at just games played this year because PJ, to me, and then we'll get into the Anthony Davis conversation of us just venting about how dumb the trade was. Who do you think's played the most games this year for the Mavs at 38?
I know it's like Najee Marshall is up there.
That's the correct answer. Najee at 38, most games played.
Because there was a game where he was almost going to miss one due to illness, I think, like he was questionable, added late, but then he ended up playing. So I think, he's been very available for sure.
And there's right now, there are 3 players that every time they've played, they've started. Actually, 4. No, 3. Who are those 3?
Anthony Davis.
Mini trivia within the pod. Anthony Davis is correct.
Cooper Flagg
is correct. He knows ball. 37 out of 37 for Coop, 20 out of 20 for AD. And then the last guy, every time he's played, he started.
Every time he's played, he started.
Mm-hmm.
they've had like changes at a lot of spots.
Correct.
Because like
This
Ryan
guy has never
Nemhard's
come
been
off
a
the bench.
starter. He's never come off the bench. I'm trying to think. Because Clay
I mean,
is off the bench
according to
now.
ESPN as well. So maybe you can refute these facts. Like bad reporting on ESPN, but
Who because I'm trying to think, because it can't be. I mean,
he
PJ's come off the bench.
okay. It on here says PJ hasn't. It says that PJ's played in 30 and started in 30. That's what it says on ESPN. Now, I'm going to trust Grant's stats more than ESPN. Grant's at the games. So I'm going to trust the Grant stats more because I feel like I've seen him come off the bench as well. But
yeah,
maybe he hasn't. I just
I've got to take a look. I feel like if he did come off the bench, it was very minimal. Like it was like, no, he hasn't. No, he hasn't. Yeah, like I wanted to remember. Like, was he on a restriction or something?
Maybe he's just on a minutes restriction, and we just assumed he came off the bench.
Well, because they've had so many changes to the wing, like throughout the season. Like, not necessarily often him. Actually, no. I guess they've slid him over to the 3 when AD starts at the 4.
He's played a lot of positions too. Think about it. He's played like the 2, the 3, the 4. Hasn't started at the 5, but has obviously played it during the flow of the game.
Yeah, because I thought like it was 99.9% of games. Maybe like it was like a tricky like trick question, if you will. If you maybe came off the bench for like one.
He also leads the team in rebounds. Now, obviously, AD is 11.1, but he just doesn't qualify for games. So when you look at like team leaders, it has PJ at 7.4 because AD is only probably going to play 20 games. So this is where we talk about you, sponsor number 2. You're so great, and you've sponsored the show, and we appreciate you. Okay, now let's get into why we're really here, Grant. Yes, all the role players are going to get moved. We've talked about that. You're not going to be a good team. You're going to at least control your first pick. At least you're going to be able to like have better control of it because you're not going to be good. You're 3 games out of the play-in spot right now. I would assume, this is Blake talking, not the basketball front office, no Mavs employee, just podcaster here. The Mavs are going to be in tank mode. I know they can't say that. I'll say it for them. The Mavs will be in tank mode. I better see a lot of Musa Cisse, a lot of Caleb Martin, a lot of Brandon Williams and Nembhard, like Max Christie, Cooper Flagg. I want young guys, and I want G League guys. Why do I need to see Clay? Love him. Send him somewhere else. Why do I need to see Gafford? Love him. Send him somewhere else. Like, let them go blossom. We're not going to be good this year. Najee, I'd love to keep. Love to keep Najee. I'm not trying to really necessarily move off of him. So I'll ask you this before we get into AD. Who are players that you want to keep? For me, Cooper Flagg, duh. Brandon Williams and Nembhard, I'm not necessarily trying to move off of them. Like I would have to have a team offer me. I'm not offering them up in phone calls. Max Christie and Najee Marshall. Other than that, legitimately, everybody else on the team, if I would be making phone calls about like, hey, do you want this guy? And we'll take some draft capital.
Yeah, I think for the most part, it really depends on your franchise direction. Like if you know that Anthony Davis is not going to be on your team to start next season, that like significantly changes. Because for example, PJ Washington becomes a much different fit for you. Like if he's able to play alongside Cooper Flagg with spacing and like a shot blocking 5, then I have no issues with that. Ideally, PJ would shoot better like he did last season, shooting 38%.
I think just an off year for PJ this year so far.
Yeah, because he's had up and down stretches throughout his whole career, like good years, bad years from 3. And he shot quite well last year. So optimistically speaking, you would hope that he would shoot well next year. Play next to Cooper Flagg because he's very solid as like a weak side defensive guy. He can guard bigger wings as well, so that's a good player to have. You want size on the wing,
and when he's healthy, him and Najee both underrated scorers. Well, they'll give you 14 to 17 almost every night, pretty consistent. Like I say, both of those guys when healthy, all things going well for the team. There, you look at the box score every night, like 17 from PJ, 14 from Najee, 15 from Najee, 20 from PJ, like. Pretty consistently where they score under that and you're like, oh, that's like a once in every 12 games type situation.
For sure. And I will say this, just like looking at their overall like record whenever they don't have Anthony Davis, they've done a very good job of losing games organically. I think they're 4-14. Like it's like a 22.2% winning percentage. So I'd almost argue that like you don't necessarily have to move guys. You can kind of just do how they've been
Status
operating. Yeah, I mean, in all reality, because you want to keep a lot of these guys, in your general, not like your like traditionally speaking how people talk about a core, but just in your organization, if you can, without like kind of balancing, like how can we maximize draft positioning without sacrificing our future options to put around Cooper Flagg. So I think that's the line you would want to walk.
You now have this problem, and then nobody better to talk about than you. You're a lot smarter about this than I am. With not moving on from AD because of all the factors we talked about, but him being hurt, no one's going to want him. You're now going to be a second apron repeater luxury team. So you've got to shed some money somehow within the next couple months. Do we think just getting off Clay is enough? Do you see some other things, like financially speaking, basketball kind of aside, you kind of have to make some moves, I think, now?
Yeah, I think the conversation, ideally, you would probably start to probably look at Clay and just be like, obviously like evaluating his priorities. like you came here to win a title. We are, let's just be nice, not winning a title. Would you like to go to a team and find one that can potentially win a title that you could contribute to? And then because if it's not something that he cares about, like, not saying he doesn't care about winning a title, but just like he's not like adamant about that as a trade deadline situation, like obviously it's a different situation, but I think that's probably cleanly where you would start, because you can maybe send him like some team that has a good position to contend and maybe has expiring salaries, because then like even if that doesn't reduce your payroll this direct year to end the season, at least that positions you better to have money come off the books and avoid, as you said, like the tax apron circumstances. The problem is they have themselves some contracts that are just, we've talked about a lot, that are tough to move. Like a Caleb Martin, Jaden Hardy, that aren't necessarily like key rotation players and enticing trade candidates for other teams right now. So you don't want to have to, like, that's the problem you have too, is you don't want to pay to get off of contracts in a season where you already have depleted draft capital, and because like they've exhausted their second round picks mostly. So it's tough to like say we can just get rid of this contract, because they tried to move Jaden Hardy before they ultimately had to use the stretch provision on Omax Prosper. Yeah. So like that's kind of the tough box they're put in, where they're backed up against that second apron to an extent. I think it's also challenging as well because Dante Exum's out for the season, and cutting him doesn't do anything for you financially, considering he's fully guaranteed on that contract. So,
oh my God,
yeah, that's the other problem. Like actually today is the day when Brandon Williams' contract becomes fully guaranteed, and that's the only player.
Shout out to
that
B.
has
Will,
like
man.
partial guaranteed money or anything of that nature. So you're really out of options in terms of like cutting somebody to free up space. And there's not really, you'd have to probably compensate teams to take on some of these contracts. So hopefully if you want to get creative with it and you think, hey, ideally Derek Lively will be healthy for us to start next season, and we can evaluate like filler center options in our organization. Maybe you look to trade like a Daniel Gafford and take back less money in a trade, something like that, or at least like expiring type salaries, and that also can position yourself well. Or maybe Clay and Gafford could help a team out there together, and you take back a little bit less money. Just frameworks like that is probably where you'd maybe look to see if you can find some options, because PJ being trade eligible as well, that really narrows down your list of options for quality contributing players that other teams will want. Like you've mentioned Najee Marshall. That's somebody that, I'm sure like with how he's so consistently able to score double figures, he's aggressive getting to the rim, guards competitively on the ball. Like he looks like someone right now as well that's like in great midseason shape too. Like he's ready to help a contending team. I think that will draw interest, but you also have him on a great contract right now too, like $9 million. So you may not want to get off that because, as you had mentioned, you may want him for next season as well. But yeah, that's kind of the tricky set of circumstances. Not a great cap sheet to be backed up against a second apron with a team with this record. And yeah, those are some of the just like kind of spitball ideas that I have about it.
I know this is kind of more of a radio segment, but I'll say it here for all the people in the comments. It's been a bad year and a half for Dallas sports, if you think about it. We just explained the Mavs situation, trading Luka Ballin, the guy you trade him for getting hurt and having 5 major injuries, and we're going to dive even more into that, and never really playing, and the team being terrible, lottery. I guess the one caveat, Cooper Flagg, that was good, but literally everything else negative around the owner getting booed, getting fired, or GM, I should say. Boom, all that happening. The Cowboys, Dak gets hurt last year. They're terrible. They trade Micah, Trayvon Diggs drama. They're terrible again this year. George Pickens was a little caveat. The Dallas Stars fired their head coach after he said that Ottinger, the goalie, was terrible. Little Stars nuggets for you guys. And they're actually sucking again this year. They're actually great this year, but on a little bit of like a 6-game losing streak. So there's more minor. The Rangers were horrible last year, made a terrible offseason moves all over the place, and are projected to be not that great this year. So right now, Dallas sports, we were on top. We were Kyrie and Luka in the finals. Rangers winning the World Series. Stars going towards the championship. Cowboys were cowboying, but they were still entertaining. And now Grant, all we can look forward to is Cooper Flagg, George Pickens, Mikko Rantanen, and Wyatt Langford. And other than that, man, we're getting the slim pickings over here. We're not going to get Kyrie back this year, it looks like, and I think that's the best case scenario with that one. I'm just trying to find some hopium. Grant, to feel good about this.
Well, I'll say this: after the last year, I'm getting really good and comfortable covering basketball players who went number 1 in the draft on teams that lose a lot of basketball games. Yeah. So that's pretty much.
That's also the Cowboys' favorite thing to do. They love getting former first-round picks that didn't pan out. They're like, hey, come down to Dallas, Kyrie Elam, Peyton Turner. If you weren't good on your team, we can make you good over here. And unfortunately, the Cowboys can't do that. But let's wrap it up right here with ranting about Anthony Davis. I will give my piece, and then I will let Grant give his piece, and then we will give y'all's piece in the comments while we piece. Anthony Davis, where do I start with you? I actually wanted to be this at the end, Grant, because I didn't want it to ruin the pod. Because I knew if I started with this, I would be so angry. We wouldn't get into any actual journalism stuff. We got all the journalism stuff out at the front. This is me just being a fan of the Mavs and being, me and you just being boys. Dumbest trade of all time. Already when it happened. And quite literally, the basketball gods' karma could not have struck harder with this one. Like, think about it. Luka's averaging 35. They're 4th or 5th in wins. And I know they have their problems with their defense. I don't believe in the Lakers long term, but overall, still playing at an all NBA level is the point. And Luka individually. And actually, their team construction is terrible. And then the Mavericks make that trade for AD, and they have the great 3 quarters in Houston. He comes over with the abductor, restrains the abductor. Boom, he's out. Kyrie comes. Oh, boom, he's out as well. They miss the playoffs. Lottery, Cooper Flagg, yay. And then he's got the retina. I mean, we should have known then, Grant, when finally he got off of like an injury. It's like, okay, it was just the abductor. He came back. He's going to be a baller. And me and you, and a lot of other very smart media people were on the thought process. This Mavericks team is going to make it to the second round of the playoffs, man. AD, Kyrie, like we were. I know you were a little bit more pessimistic.
To be fair, we also said this might be the team with the most wide range of possibilities.
No, 100%.
Because Kyrie,
but like it was there.
50 games, yeah.
It was there. Like I'm not saying it was the most likely outcome, but the fact that ceiling was there.
If health things went well for themselves, that definitely, because they play a ton of close games this year. It's been tough to build chemistry with guys being in and out of the lineup, things of that nature. But also, like as we said, you probably shouldn't have started the season with Cooper Flagg not having a actual ball handler next to him and things of that nature. But yeah,
AD's made of glass, bro. He's made of glass. Grant, please explain to me. He's already has all these lower body injuries, got the retina, got the abductor, got the groin, got the calf. And then he's just guarding Lauri Markkanen Grant. And he like smashes his hand in half on his bicep and it has torn ligaments in his hand. And like, I will say this, I feel bad for AD the person. AD did not ask to get traded here. It is not personal versus AD. It is what it is. It's unfortunate. Maybe he's injury prone. I don't know. AD is a fine human being, fine man, great guy in the locker room, whatever. But when it comes to just on the basketball court, it is so hard to watch him because he is so soft and made of glass. And the whole reason that you moved off of Luka is you thought the same thing. Now, we can get into all the behind-the-scenes stuff and whatever, but kind of the main point that we know publicly is that they didn't believe in his conditioning. They didn't believe in, like, how he rehabbed from injuries and giving him money long-term. Like, we don't believe in your durability versus your skill. We're going to do that to AD, who has legitimately never played 6 games in a row for the Dallas Mavericks in a uniform, for all the people in the comments. I know you may have heard that. Maybe you haven't. That's the only thing you need to know. He has not played more than 6 games in a row in a Mavs uniform. So everything has just been hypothetical. If he's healthy, if Cooper Flagg, Kyrie, and him, if this, can you imagine if he's scoring 30 and 15 with Cooper Flagg and Kyrie doing this? Yeah, we can if all we want. He's just not on the court, and it's not like he's getting any younger, and he's got a player option coming up. I'm frustrated.
Yeah, it's really rough because he played 76 out of 82 games in the 2023-24 season. That was their last full season before he got that midseason trade to Dallas. And this is a kind of crazy stat. I'm just looking at the numbers. He played the 5 with the Lakers. That was, obviously a topic of people saying, like Jeannie Buss did an interview basically saying that, like, or mentioning, I should say, like in December, that Anthony would like to play the 4. So he played the 5 for 42 games before the trade. And he's only played 29 since the trade. Like playing part of his season with the Lakers, he's played 13 more games during that stretch than he's played with the Dallas Mavericks, which is almost, we're less than a month away from the date of the trade. Like, I think February 2nd, it got pushed through. So that's, that definitely rough. And he was playing 34.3 minutes per game with the Lakers last year as well. So his minutes were pretty high and still played quite a bit of games overall. And, just going back to the injury cycle, like it kind of started after the trade. Like, my understanding of the situation, like he joined the team on the road in Philadelphia. First time we saw him was at Temple University when the team was practicing. And, like he played when they got back home against the Houston Rockets, the game you had talked about. And he didn't have the equipment that he had with the Lakers when he joined the team on the road. And, in hindsight, I remember hearing him talk about this, like, maybe I should have, sat out a game or 2 longer before playing. But it's just overall unfortunate because he really wanted to, like, put on a show for fans, based off the reaction.
I think AD has a good heart in this. I know a lot of people slander AD like he doesn't want to be here. Maybe not, but I think AD is trying to give the best he can. Like, I don't think AD is like faking injuries or staying out longer than he needs to. I think he is trying. That's why I'm like, it's not AD personal. Oh, I hate AD. Get his essence out of here. It's more like, it is so unfortunate, but your GM decided to make the trade. It's not like you were held at gunpoint that you had to trade Luke Brady.
Yeah,
you decided to do it.
This was a cycle that started last season where, obviously that adductor was a big problem, missed multiple months because of it. And then the eye injury, that's the one that's really confusing to me because I remember seeing him play and just being around him. Like, it was like a huge bandage under his eye and it looked bad. So I'm obviously not an expert in like the process for identifying injuries. Yeah. Like, and especially with the eyes and everything. So I'm just confused as to how it took like a annual checkup in July to determine like, hey man, like you should get this fixed, like get surgery. Cause then he sat out until basically training camp before doing basketball activities. And the nature of the situation, if you're missing that much time from like July all the way until late September, like you're in a position where you're going to be out of shape. And that put him on a cycle where I mean, he had the lower body injuries early in the season. Like he tried to play his way into shape. Like obviously, like the pressure of the GM facing or the GM facing pressure. Obviously, you're going to want everyone on the floor, especially your star. That was the big part of the Luka trade. Like in a perfect world, like where that's not a factor, ideally, I would think AD wouldn't start the season in the lineup. Like he would just wait until he's fully healthy, and then maybe you avoid that extended absence that really truly derailed the season because they were 10 games below 500 when he came back to the lineup against the Lakers on the road around Thanksgiving, and that pretty much sunk them from that point on. And they've any other margin, like no margin for error, any other bad things that happen with injuries, that really puts you in a bad spot. Like 4-14 in games that he doesn't play is just a really brutal result. And yeah, I just think that cycle, it's like just mismanagement and just weird decision-making stuff has just been an issue. Like I think the Christmas Day injury wasn't really like a long absence. He just basically missed the road trip. So it's like not a big deal on that one. Like probably for the best that he didn't power through that and cause a more significant groin injury like we just talked about happening after the trade last season.
But he just has so many things pop up. He can
stay
off an injury report.
Yeah, this hand injury, it was really rough because like as you mentioned, he's just guarding somebody on a drive going baseline. His hand kind of awkward angle gets kind of crunched up. I guess that causes the ligament damage. But off the court, when I was going to the press conference for Jason Kidd in Utah, Anthony Davis like walked directly past me, like coming from the hall, and he was in a lot of pain. Like you could see it on his face. He was holding like his hand under his elbow, like holding his hand up, and it was like, yeah, it looked really rough. So yeah, definitely curious to see what that recovery plan is going to be, because if you need surgery, that puts you out for a long time, and we're already January 10.
Lowers that value even more.
Yeah, I don't think you can trade unless you're purely doing business like the Washington Wizards did for Trae Young, where this is business for next season. I can't make a trade for somebody if I'm a GM with surgery and all that stuff. Like it's just not possible. The ramp up wouldn't help you in the playoffs. Even if it's a non-surgical approach, like you got to be very, very confident that he's going to be able to.
And it's not like that's his only injury. It's not. Yeah. It's not as if the hand is the only thing, and when he heals of that, he's 100% good to go. He's got like 6 other injuries going on. So, the basketball gods have spoken. Grant, anything that could go wrong went wrong. And then we shared on the pod not too long ago when we were talking about scenarios and trades and would you wait, would you not? And the worst case scenario happened. He comes back trying to up his value and gets hurt, and he's out.
Yeah, I very clearly remember it because I was like thinking it through, and I'm like, you could wait to the deadline. That's when you probably get your best value because some team may feel pressure to make a big move and might talk themselves into it. But then we said the key caveat there, very key caveat, but you risk injury, and that could derail the entire thing. And that's kind of where we're at this point.
And we're present day, and he's hurt, and he's probably out for the year.
Very unfortunately, yes.
Very unfortunate. It is what it is. I'm just laughing through the pain. Hopefully, AD gets a speedy recovery. Cooper Flagg, keep balling out, and let's watch some college basketball, Mavs fans. MFL. Darren Peterson might be a future Mav. Grant, any parting shots you got for the people?
Yeah, we'll surely record whenever we have more clarity about the situation for Anthony Davis, if it's a non-surgical approach or surgery is required. And we'll definitely get into more of the specifics as we learn more about, how that impacts this team. We talked about it a good amount today, but, obviously when the situation happens, we'll have a little more knowledge of it. And, just as usual, if you enjoy reading coverage of the team, throughout the season on a daily basis, you can find a lot of Mavs coverage and just general NBA stuff as well on DallasHoopsJournal.com.
100%. Get in there. It's 2:47 Saturday, I said June. I want it to be June already. January 10th. Everybody's still on the team right now. No one's been traded. AD, we don't know what the report is going to be, whether it's he needs surgery or not, waiting on a second opinion. So leave it in the comments what you guys think when you heard the news and what the Mavs should do. Until then, toodles. And you might be seeing me and Grant somewhere else pretty soon. Deuces. Okay. Milwaukee. That was good.